and welcome to the in-news series of Drishti IAS. I am Pooja Divedi, and in this segment today we are going to talk about the intellectual property rights and the COVID-19 vaccine. So this topic is important from the perspective of prelims as well as GS Mains Paper 2, 3 and 4. Let's begin with the topics of discussions that we are going to glide by. First of all, we will talk about why news. Then we will talk about what is the issue exactly, and then we will talk about the impacts of the waiver. We will talk about what is IPR actually, and we will talk about the challenges, the way forward. In the midst of the segment, as always, I'm going to ask you a prelims-based question, and in the last of the segment, I'm going to give you a mains-based question. For the prelims-based question, you can comment in the comment segment. Let's move on and talk about why news, because the tussle between the developing and the developed countries for COVID-19 vaccine has just begun. As according to some reports, it's not the beginning of the end of the pandemic, but beginning of endless wait for COVID-19 vaccine. So if we talk about the background, the article obviously says that the vaccines are not enough even to go to the richest countries around the globe, let alone poor countries. So let's go back to the month of October 2020 when a joint statement was given by India and South Africa to the World Trade Organization to exempt the member countries for forcing some patents, trade secrets or any sort of pharmaceutical monopolies on the COVID-19 vaccine. And it said that they are giving this joint statement in order to make the COVID-19 vaccines affordable and accessible to the least developed and developing countries. And the COVID-19 vaccines, if once come in the market, they shouldn't be unnecessarily regulated. So this was the issue, the background of the issue. So the impact, if WTO accepts this joint statement and gives a waiver, what will happen? Then the member countries could make the generic version of any COVID vaccine for COVID-19 treatment. But this was very shockingly, it was opposed by United States, European Union, Norway, Britain, Switzerland, Brazil, and even Japan, Canada, and Australia. Of course, they are not going to leave their monopoly so easily. So if we talk about United States, what did it say? It said that facilitating incentives for innovation and competition through IPR would provide medicines and COVID-19 vaccines more swiftly. If we talk about the European Union said, and I quote, "No indication that intellectual property rights issues could have been a genuine barrier in relation to COVID-19 related medicines as well as technology." And the British mission also agreed to the statement by saying that this is an extreme measure to address any unproven problem. And if we talk about why is this wrong? This is wrong because the companies which are based in these countries have developed this vaccine with the help of taxpayers' money, directly or indirectly, and the taxpayers now again have to pay for the medicines and the vaccines. This seems unjust. That is wrong with it. That is what is wrong with it. Then comes the coverage issue. If we talk about the coverage in the opening of the segment, I told you that the vaccines are not enough to even go to the richest countries, let alone the poor ones. So, based on Pfizer and Moderna stated vaccine production capacity, they have struck deals with countries such as United States, European Union, as well as Japan and Canada. So, their production could cover only 50% of the population of such countries by the end of 2021. That's shocking. And considering that 82% of the Pfizer production capacity and 78% of Moderna's, they have already been sold to rich countries, according to some reports. And then you can imagine what is the status of the least developed countries or poor countries are going to be. Then Canada is said to have placed so many pre-orders that it could end with 10 doses per capita. And AstraZeneca has been credited to strike deals with least developed and developing countries such as India, Latin America and Gavi, and it has also said, it has also committed that it wouldn't make a profit from its vaccine during the entire pandemic. But there is an interesting touch to it. What is it? AstraZeneca has retained the right to declare the end of the pandemic by July 2021, and the company estimates that it will be able to make 3 billion vaccines till the end of 2021, which is which will cover only 20% of the total population. So these are the certain issues which we were talking about in the opening of the segment. So if we talk about the impacts, if the waiver is given by World Trade Organization, what will happen? Then India can make generic versions of the COVID-19 vaccines, as a result of which most of the population, majority of the population, would get these medicines and vaccines at a very affordable cost. And also it could set a precedent for showing that IPR norms in such conditions can be pliant and flexible. And it would also break the medicinal hegemony of the developed countries, who have already and always skewed the result of such innovations, being very biased towards other least developing countries. Now, India can emerge as the leader of the developing and least developed nation if it doesn't budge, and it needs to consolidate its position in the crisis and build on it in the near future. So these are the impacts. Now we will talk about what is IPR, intellectual property rights. Intellectual property rights are the rights given to person over the creation of one's own mind. It could be invention, literary or artistic, or symbol, names or images used. So it usually gives the creator an exclusive right. You have to learn and understand two things here. It gives exclusive right and for a certain period of time. Exclusive right and certain period of time. Alright. So the importance of intellectual property was first recognized in the Paris Convention for the Protection of Industrial Property in the year 1883, and the Berne Convention for the Protection of Literary and Artistic Work. Now both these treaties are administered by World Intellectual Property Organization, which is the one of the oldest UN specialized agency, created in the year 1967 to give encouragement to the creativity and promotion and protection of intellectual property, and its headquarters is at Geneva, Switzerland. 26th of April every year is celebrated as World Intellectual Property Day, right? So the intellectual property rights are generally divided into two categories. The first is copyright and rights related to copyright, which is applicable to the authors of literary, artistic works such as books and other writings, paintings, compositions, sculptures, computer program, and for a minimum period of, I'm saying here, minimum period of 50 years. Now, this particular period of time could fluctuate from country to country. In our country, it's 60 years basically. Okay, so industrial property, if we talk about, industrial property can also be divided into two arenas. First is trademark. Trademark is a symbol to differentiate between these services and goods which are given by a certain company from those of any other sort of company. So this is trademark. Then comes geographical indication. Now this particular mark is given to show that particular product is originating from some particular geographical area, and the characteristic of it can be attributed to that particular geographical area, and this could go for indefinite period of time. And also there is one more thing, which is industrial design and trade secrets. And now other type of industrial secrets and industrial properties are protected under this only by patents. Alright, to give encouragement to innovation, design, and the creation of technology. Right? Moving on, let's talk about India and IPR. Now, India is a member of the World Trade Organization and is committed to the trade related aspects of intellectual property rights agreement, that is TRIPS. And India is also a member of the World Intellectual Property Organization. We talked about it. Also, it is a member of the following of every administered WIPO administered agreement, and it administers more than 20 agreements of intellectual property rights. And the national intellectual property rights, okay, this particular policy was brought in the year 2016, and it has a mission, it has a clarion of Creative India, Innovative India. Now, this particular policy was brought to encompass and bring to a single platform all IPRs and taking into account their synergies to get them interrelated, interconnected, and to exploit their synergies between all forms of intellectual properties. And the nodal agency for this is Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, and under it a cell for IPR and management was created. Now, this particular nodal agency is going to oversee the policies, and this is the executing body, and it also oversees that India is obligated by the World TRIPS agreement, so it should follow the obligations. This is going to see it. Moving on, let's talk about the TRIPS agreement. So, the WTO's agreement on trade related aspects of intellectual property rights. Now, it was negotiated during the Uruguay rounds of 1986 to 1984, and it introduced intellectual property rights in the multilateral trade agreements. Its aim was to get more order and predictability, as well as to settle disputes more efficiently and systematically. So before this, there was no other convention which took into consideration the intellectual property rights. And before that, over 40 countries of the world did not grant any sort of IPR to any of its pharmaceutical products. And then the TRIPS agreement came into existence. Now, the TRIPS agreement requires all the WTO members, with few exceptions of course, to adapt to the minimum standards of IPR protection. IPR is needed to enhance innovation and also take care of that those innovations are not exploited or misused, and also increase ease of business. Alright, so now if we talk about challenges are many. Now here the most pressing challenge is to bring all the countries, the developed and the developing countries, into under one roof and into the same spot. So this is very, right now it is not being seen as a very, it's insurmountable basically, because the developed countries will not let go of their monopoly that easily, and they will dig their heels in. Also, countries in which drugs are relatively cheap, such as India, this can be seen as a problem, because attempts to overturn the law can bite in its back only. For example, there was a company by the name of Novartis. It was a Swiss pharmaceutical giant, and it fought a decade-long battle into India to get its monopoly for the treatment of leukemia. And in this entire process, it also tried to strike down a rule of the Indian patent policy as unconstitutional, although it did not succeed. Now, the crisis of access to affordable medicines can also affect countries who are very orthodox defendant of intellectual property rights. For example, insulin in the United States can be extremely expensive, and also procrastination or delay of the entire process can be seen as a hindrance and a big challenge right now, especially in this pandemic era. And of course, because of the developing and the developed countries, they cannot build a consensus. This is going to move further. This is going to be further delayed. Now, if we talk about the way forward, what is the way forward? Now, under TRIPS. Now, this particular regime has several tools such as compulsory licensing, and which makes available for the member countries to give compulsory license to manufacturers in their country, and also they are at their own discretion to base the norms on which licenses would be given. In November 2001, the Doha Declaration made this logic very clear that all the member countries can grant compulsory license to their manufacturer of medicines. But India was very fearful of the fact that it did not want to upset the US and big trading partners. So it gave the CL only once in the year 2008, and after it did not do that. So this can be, because this will not need any sort of amendment in the TRIPS agreement. It's in the original document. So this can be seen as a way forward. The second is that we still need to protect our laws, because they need the general populace to respect innovation, because innovations they need to be worshipped, in the sense they are very integral to any sort of, this particular law is very integral to any sort of innovation. So the sanctity as well as the integrity should be respected, and the rising anti-IP sentiments should be arrested by restructuring the current regime only. Also, one method by which we can overcome this problem is getting PPP, or Pandemic Patent Pool. In this, what happens? In this, aggregation, administration and disseminating of license will be there for some common purpose. Like for us right now, it can be the pandemic for a limited amount of monopoly. So that will make it possible to overcome this problem. Also, we have already talked about it, creating a pool and giving them license. Now, if we give license, it will ensure that majority of the manufacturers will get license, and when that happens, vaccines and medicines will be quickly and more affordable in nature. They will be swiftly delivered and more affordable in nature. So now we will talk about Global Innovation Index, which provides details of 131 countries and economies, and it takes into account 80 indicators. Now, in these 80 indicators, such provisions are there, such as knowledge and tech output, market sophistication, business sophistication. All these indicators are there. And if we talk about who publishes it, it's World Intellectual Property Organization, Cornell University, and INSEAD. Now, these three, their squad publishes Global Innovation Index. And in here, in the year 2020, India is on the 48th position. In the year 2019, it was on the 52nd position. If we talk about which countries are there in the Asian regions who are doing very well, it's China, India, Philippines and Vietnam, and they're there in the top 50. So if we talk about their ranking, we can see that there is a gradual eastward shift in the locus of innovation, right? So India has performed extremely well in knowledge and tech outputs, but it has abysmal performance in infrastructure. Right? So in the comment section, you have to tell me, now this is a prelims based question, which countries are the top 5 performing countries on the Global Innovation Index 2020, right? Moving on, let's look at our means based question. Please look at this question. Intellectual protection regimes should not outweigh public health interests. In the light of the statement, critically analyze the need for intellectual property rights in the pharmaceutical sector. Now, keep certain words in mind. You have to be critical here, and you have to do the analysis So I hope you found this segment informative. That's it for today. Tomorrow I'm going to turn up with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.